Okay, so here's an update on my 1983 Yamaha Venture Royale, also known as the XVZ 1200. Since my last video, it's been a while since I've posted. In that time, I unfortunately have closed the doors to the custom shop that I was running due to health reasons that didn't allow me to continue. I have continued this project as it is a labor of love. It is something that I wanted to build, and it is my idea of what I want in a bagger. So, without further ado, this is my 1983 Yamaha Venture. Now, it's still in the fabrication stages as far as I still have to do fiberglass work on the back end, and I still have some wiring I have to finish up. But for the most part, this is what she's going to look like. Come around here. It's got a 98 to 2013 Harley-Davidson Road Glide inner and outer fairing. It has a 21-inch Harley-Davidson limited edition soft tail wheel. It has a custom front fender. It has front forks from a 2006 Yamaha Roadstar 1600. It has custom crash bar that I made. Still have to clean up a little bit. I put forward controls, both shifter and brake, from a Royal Star Tour Deluxe 96 to 13, I do believe. It has custom triple trees with a 4.5 degree rake built into them that I had built by customtripletrees.com. They bolt onto the Yamaha frame using all of the factory Yamaha bearings for the 1983. But it's set up for the front forks of the Roadstar. I have 1-inch Harley bars. I do believe they are 16-inch mini apes with Harley controls, as well as hydraulic controls off of Harley. Then I have tank shrouds for again, Harley, as well as a custom dash that houses my GPS speedometer, my quad gauge with all the necessary requirements, on-off switches for various components, 2 switches for the air ride that I built for the bike, a gas door for a 68 Chevy C10 with the bed tank that allows me full access to the gas cap. Sits nice and pretty. Then I've got my saddlebags that I'm still dreading doing all the fiberglass work on, but it has to be done, with molded side covers. It's going to have 6.5-inch speakers. These are full access saddlebags. Let me turn my light on here. I have air shocks off of a 68 Chevy Corvette with custom mounts for the air ride. I've got a couple of air ride valves, see if I can get them in the camera here, for the air suspension, as well as an air tank hidden behind the custom rear fender that I've made. I have 5 LEDs in both saddlebags. 3 of them are brake, 2 of them are for turn signal. And then I have, don't mind the garage, a little bit of a mess, 5 LEDs on the front mounted in the fairing for my turn signals. And work lights as fog lights. I do believe they're 1800 lumen spot beams. Now this bike has been completely rewired. I took all of the factory wiring harness out and eliminated the items that I didn't need for this build. So real quick, this is the gauge pods. One of the air ride gauges will be for the suspension. This is for my left turn signal as well as my neutral light. Over here I've got another air gauge that'll be for the tank pressure as well as my right turn signal and my high beam indicator. And then this is my key. This is a Moto Gadget M-Lock. See if I can get the camera to focus a little better here. There we go. This bike also got a Moto Gadget M unit that is all hidden up inside the fairing, mounted to the side of the radio bracket, and a custom fuse box for all the accessories that I have on the bike. It has custom forward controls. It has an oil pressure gauge, new fan switch, all the necessary items. So we're going to turn the bike on. Now I'm not going to start the bike because it is currently 11:30 at night, and 4 into 4 side pipes is not exactly the quietest thing to have running at 11:30 at night. So here's my dash, GPS speedometer, and then if I hit my right turn signal, my indicator pulses just like, oh, I have an LED that's not hooked up apparently. There we go. So there's the turn signal for the front. There is the turn signal for the rear. Shut that off. My neutral light on. Turn on my left turn signal. And it pulses, as well as the rear. Turn on my fog lights. I'm still currently waiting on my headlights to come in, but I am going LED with those as well. And then I have a 8-time flash with solid, and all of the light is controlled by the M unit that is behind the dash. Once I hit the starter, although I'm not going to start the bike, the rear LEDs come on at half power. Again, this is all controlled through the M unit that's hidden up there in the dash. I'll show you that here in a minute, as well as the other little things I've done that you really can't see once the tank covers are on. I also have a full LED kit that is underneath the bike. There are 14 strips in total. And it is a Op 7, which I'm very happy with as far as the lighting is concerned. And here is my air ride. Compressor just kicked on, give it a second. So this is the bike all the way up. And then there is the bike all the way down. Okay, so I've got the outer fairing off. Show you the wiring back here. That is the M unit that controls the starter, the brakes, the turn signals, the dash lights, pretty much everything that this bike needs to run. Did take all automotive grade, waterproof or water resistant, however you want to look at them, connectors to make all of my wiring. There is my M-lock that is mounted behind that gauge filler. That is my ignition. That is my key. Again, more wiring. There is the continuous duty solenoid that I use to power the fuse block that turns on all the accessories like the cooling fans and the ignition for the spark plugs and fuel pump, air compressor, all that fun stuff. Okay, so on a standard Yamaha Venture, there is typically an aluminum tryout with the radiator hoses mounted right here. I have relocated it to just above the front valve cover. That is to clear the tank shrouds that go on. I have made a custom battery box. Now, mind you, this bike is still in the build phase, so there are going to be things that need to be cleaned up and ground and readied for paint. The Medusa's nest of wires, these are all going to be wrapped and made to look pretty. Again, on a typical Yamaha Venture, this is where the TCI and the coils sit, but I have since relocated them. This is my TCI unit and the pressure control for the ignition timing. I still have a positive battery cable that I have to properly run. I've got my single carb setup. And yes, this bike runs beautifully with that on. I have my coils relocated and 3 relays. That is it. All of the other relays that were on this bike are gone. I have all of my wiring run down the frame rail. Comes back. Again, everything needs to be loomed and made to look pretty. And then these are the connectors for my saddlebags, so that when I take the saddlebags off for paint or to maintenance, I can have a quick disconnect. I did put in a new fuel sender to match the gauge. Did not get any pictures of that, but it was quite the experience, to say the least. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I still have things to do, like making brake cables to go to the brake caliper, as well as clutch cable, which is going to be interesting because Yamaha uses basically the same thing as a brake cable or brake hose off a car, and I have yet to find anybody who manufactures longer hoses that will work with that. So I may end up having to completely replumb the clutch. Not going to be my favorite thing to do, but I will do it. Again, it's a 11:30-ish, 11:45 at night. I would love to fire this thing up and let you guys hear it, but I'd much rather not have neighbors knocking on my garage door. So hopefully I will be able to progress further on this and be able to update more often. But as of now, this is how she sits. So hopefully I'll be able to move forward on it and enjoy the coming riding seasons. Until then, always ride safe.